amateur stage, I would say. People are beginning to get an interest is emerging among researchers, but they don't have the necessary tools to study the web in the many ways that they could study it. So what we need is to kind of move from this amateur level to a more professional level. And that also implies not only the researchers, but also the archives.
I think with the rise of the digital humanities, historians in 10 years' time will be using web archives quite a bit more. I don't think you can do a history of the 1990s or 2000s in any of the subgenres of history without doing justice to web archives.
The web archives is the place, that's going to be the place to create those kinds of, that's going to be the data source.
Évidemment, il y a quand même un effet de recentrage depuis 5-10 ans vers le web comme vraiment un environnement extrêmement complexe qui fait l'objet de quantité d'études avec des approches très différentes, sociologiques, politiques, plus technologiques, bibliothéconomiques, etc.
We've evolved to a large set of derivative data sets that now support communications research, political science research, social science research, computing and linguistic research fields. There's a wide range of specialties that are now accessing archival web data for a range of research purposes.
In 20 years from now, web archive research would benefit from the value of looking back in time at this valuable data and analyzing it not just as a prism to the history of the web, but also as a prism to the social history or to other phenomena, also to other media.
L'un des rôles essentiels des archives du web, c'est de contribuer justement à introduire cette dimension temporelle, à faire mieux prendre conscience aux chercheurs eux-mêmes, aux étudiants derrière eux, que le web a déjà une histoire, que les contenus même du web, par leur instabilité évidemment, sont des objets dans le temps et que ça n'a sans doute plus vraiment de sens de parler du numérique comme tel ou de l'internet ou même du web comme tel.
We are looking at different ways of using the web archive. Not just looking or examining past versions of individual websites, but to look beyond documents or text, to focus on the entirety of web archives, not just for reference, but also for analytics.
There are limits to the single-page approach to web archive research, and we hope to advance ways of moving beyond the single document approach to a data analytics approach, for example, to look at the archive not just as the history of a document or for surfing the archive, but also for analyzing the full archive as a unit of analysis or looking at different unit of analysis depending on the research question.
As we go forward, it won't be looking at the archives page by page. It will be about searching using data that we've extracted from the archive. So I think that the really important thing is extracting the data.
Well, we know there is a lot of data out there, but the access possibilities are really restricted. The exploration, the analytics perspectives are restricted, so we are going to change that hopefully in the next 5 years.
There's still a gap between the archives and their scholarly use. So the purpose of coming here today is to try to bring these needs and infrastructures together to advance the scholarly use of web archives in the future.
Another thing that came across to me today is there's lots of people with archives and people with data about the archives, but they desperately need researchers to use it. It's a bit like having a huge library of books and nobody ever taken a book out to read.
Pour que dans les années à venir, les archives du web soient plus utilisées par les disciplines des sciences sociales, il est nécessaire qu'elles soient beaucoup plus faciles d'accès et surtout qu'il y ait des outils qui permettent une plus facile exploitation de ces données.
The key thing is about telling people that those resources are available, and that's our motivation, really. And that's a global effort.
If we're going to be using web archives, and I think we will, we need to know how web archives are created. We need to know how to use them. We need to know what kind of tools are out there. We should be involved in the beginning of this movement towards web archives.
I think the most valuable lesson we have learned in all this is how this research engagement has impacted the way we archive and store the content we collect.
We know about the old dusty box archive. We don't know anything about web archives, so let's educate ourselves and let's actually sit down at the table and find out what we can learn.
We have to get more scholars interested in this field. So the first task is to get out in the research communities, tell about the sources, and then get some feedback from the scholars. What do you actually need?
J'ai le sentiment, je peux me tromper, mais qu'il est assez inédit de voir se constituer ainsi des archives avec au même moment cette conscience qu'elles doivent être aussi à l'écoute de la recherche, des initiatives comme celle d'aujourd'hui, comme celle d'ateliers, etc., qui mêlent professionnels et chercheurs. C'est une opportunité quand même qui est assez, qui me semble vraiment précieuse et assez inédite. Donc mon seul souhait, c'est qu'on continue comme ça encore pendant très très longtemps.